Lord Lieutenant, distinguished guests, welcome to the High Sheriff's Awards. My heartfelt congratulations to all the recipients of this prestigious award. When I took office on 8th of April 2021, I announced that my year would be spent celebrating and recognising acts of altruistic kindness and generosity by individuals, voluntary groups and businesses from all walks of life from across Oxfordshire during the COVID-19 pandemic. I therefore want to take this opportunity to thank you all for all that you have done in your various roles to keep the wheels of our county in motion in the most difficult of circumstances. You have gone above and beyond to serve your local communities and have done so selflessly, but with great distinction. At one of the most challenging times in modern history, you were the catalysts for numerous initiatives of altruism in our county. This not only brought relief to those in need and vulnerable, but you have also contributed to a stronger feeling of community and compassion in our society. I also want to take this opportunity to extend my thanks and acknowledge your families and loved ones who have supported you, enabling you to serve your local communities. Thank you for joining us this morning, and I hope very much that you will enjoy the awards ceremony. I will now invite the Chair to say a few words.
Thank you very much, High Sheriff, and welcome to everybody, recipients, family and friends. I'm delighted that you can be here at County Hall in this particular room, which is the centre of government in Oxfordshire for many centuries. So it's fitting that you should be here today to receive these awards. It's also fitting that you come from across the whole of our historic county. And I'm delighted to see you all here today. And I am particularly delighted to recognise the service that you have given over the period of time, particularly during these very challenging periods since the pandemic struck in early 2020. It has been a difficult time for all of us, and I am extremely grateful to the service which you have given and the witness which you have borne to other people to show how important the spirit of voluntary service is within our nation. It is something that I think we can really celebrate, and I am delighted to be part of this award ceremony today. But today is a joyful and happy day, and I wish you all the best for the rest of this morning.
Thank you. Thank you very much, John. And Sophie Law, I was very lucky to be supported by a group of judging panellists, and Sophie is one of them. She's been a great support through BBC Radio, and we're really delighted to have you. So a few words from you, and then from you, Adrian. Thank you.
I think the challenge for us, and Adrian will back this up, was just whittling down. There was so much good stuff and so many good people. And I think that's what came out of it for us when we sat behind the mics at BBC Radio Oxford last March and thought, what the hell are we going to say when we go live at 6 o'clock this morning? How on earth do we try and lift people to get up this morning and not just hide in their beds? And, straight away we saw what the community were doing and that people weren't just lying down and taking it. They were getting up and they were thinking, well, I'm not working. What am I going to do? How can I help? How can I help people who are going to be in a worse situation than me? And for us, that's been massively heartwarming to see the response to the community. And I hope that you guys have been able to see it in person. It's been really hard for us stuck in a little box up in North Oxford, just talking and hoping that somebody's listening and appreciating what we're doing. And we have had some lovely messages from people. You know, one woman who lost her husband just at the end of 2019, and she put all the radios on, she said, in the house every morning, in her bedroom, in her kitchen, in her lounge, and she just let us talk to her all day. You know, you guys were going out there, doing stuff, seeing faces of people who maybe weren't seeing anybody else all day, all week. And, you know, I hope today gives you the opportunity to really think, you know, give yourselves a pat on the back, because I know that most of the people in this room who are doing that, thinking of others constantly, maybe don't top up the self-care so much, and you do all deserve a massive pat on the back, and I hope you're able to really be proud of yourself and celebrate what you've done for your communities, because it's fantastic.
Thank you, everybody. So I'm Adrian Sell, I'm Chief Executive of Oxfordshire Community Foundation, a role I stepped into in the midst of the pandemic, just as we were coming out of lockdown 1. I was immensely, and still am immensely, proud to be in this role, because we are at the heart of Oxfordshire communities. In the first month of the pandemic, Oxfordshire Community Foundation was paying out over £50,000 a week to local community groups and charities. But that money would have been of no value at all without the incredible efforts and work of people in local communities, volunteers who were delivering food to people who were self-isolating and shielding at home, who were providing support, delivering medicines to people, providing mental health support, companionship. I think it was just, it feels quite distant now, 18 months on, how crazy that first lockdown was and how kind of isolating it was for many people living at home, trying to survive in cramped, overcrowded conditions, without human companionship and without support. And I think the fact that we managed to find ways of reaching out to one another, providing those relationships, providing that human contact, and through all the efforts that you did, ensure that people felt loved for, cared for, nurtured, and in contact with other human beings through such an immensely difficult time, was testament to the fantastic work that all of you are doing. And you are, as you all know, a small part of what was a fantastic response in Oxfordshire communities. And I, for one, would just like to take the opportunity to say thank you very much to all of you for everything you did.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'd now like to invite His Honour Patrick Eccles QC. He is the Shrivel Remembrancer for our county. I'm really most grateful to have him and have his support as the High Sheriff of Oxfordshire. So Patrick will read out the citations. And
a citation for the High Sheriff's Award to Fitz School, Wantage, for services to the community in Wantage, Oxfordshire during COVID-19. Fitz School has been nominated for this award as a result of its outstanding work during the COVID pandemic. Fitz is a special school in Wantage for 100 children whose special educational needs range from moderate to profound and multiple learning difficulties. Rated outstanding by Ofsted inspectors for more than 20 years, the impact of the COVID pandemic on the school and its most vulnerable children and their families could have been considerable. Yet the staff at this exceptional school have gone well beyond their normal duties to ensure that the children's education and well-being has not been harmed. Special timetables were created that could be followed both at home and in school, which were vital to attend to pupils' physical and mental health, maintain vital functional skills, allow time for relaxation and creativity, celebrate the positive, and also be prepared to deal with the negative. Routine is vital for those children with special educational needs. The timetables created by Fitzwarren's staff helped parents to maintain a routine at home that mirrored what pupils in school received. Every member of the Fitzwarren school community has been instrumental in ensuring that these most vulnerable children and their families have received the most exceptional support during the most challenging of times. The school staff thoroughly deserve the community's recognition. May I invite Tracy Gardner, Tom Arnold and Lily Moss from Fitzwarren School to step forward. citation for the High Sheriff's Award to Sue Holden, Barton, for services to the community in Barton, Oxfordshire during COVID-19. Over the period of the pandemic, Sue has led the work of the Barton Community Association as its secretary, providing a summer school at the Barton Neighbourhood Centre, run by the BCA for local children who would otherwise miss out on a lot of education, which is one of Oxford's most deprived areas. In one of Oxford's most deprived areas, their families often do not have the resources to make up for. Also turning BNC into a major vaccination venue for the whole OX3 postcode area. Also providing a training space there for the Oxford University Hospital's NHS Trust. Also coordinating the local service hub at BNC with the City Council. And ensuring food security by providing meals for hundreds of elderly, disabled, and otherwise vulnerable people in the Barton community. This work, especially the last, would not have been possible without Sue. Though shielding, Sue has often worked 12 to 15-hour days from home, on the phone and with emails, coordinating food sourcing and delivery, finding volunteers to help with vaccination, and using her unparalleled knowledge of the Barton community to identify who might need help and when. This has been instrumental in ensuring a successful response to the pandemic in a very deprived area, greatly strengthening the community by getting new volunteers from the local area to be active, and in creating a powerful sense of togetherness. Her work over the last year has been harder and more effective than anything she's done before, and that is saying something. May I invite Sue Holden to step forward. A citation for the High Sheriff's Award to Be Free Young Carers Didcot for services to the community in Oxfordshire during COVID-19. Be Free Young Carers, based in Harwell, is a small charity with a huge impact, especially over this last year. They are the only young carers charity in Oxfordshire and receive no statutory funding. Since lockdown, they have been supporting young carers who have been facing increased isolation due to lockdowns. Young carers are classed as vulnerable children who are able to go to school. However, fear of passing on the virus to the loved one at home who was shielding led them to stay at home, often missing out on valuable education. Young carers usually care for a parent or sibling at home and are their main carer. Be Free Young Carers has stepped up during COVID, moving all their activities online, keeping in touch with young carers over the phone and when guidelines allowed, meeting up with them in person. Be Free Young Carers hosted online quizzes and parties, along with face-to-face service once restrictions eased. They provided food parcels to those who needed them. When they heard that laptops weren't being delivered to those who did not have them, Be Free Young Carers organised the community to donate used laptops. They then wiped them clean and uploaded software so that the young carers could have access to their online lessons and keep in touch with friends. Be Free Young Carers referrals have increased, and the staff have risen to the increased workload, working additional hours and rallying around to make sure they can help where they can. It has been fantastic to see them pull together as a team and help a group of vulnerable children in a time of crisis. May I invite Gemma Thorpe, Charlotte Anthony, Sabian North, and John Tabor from Be Free Young Carers to step forward. Citation for the High Sheriff's Award to Trevor Williams, Rose Hill, for services to the community in Rose Hill, Oxfordshire during COVID-19. Trevor is a massive part of the Rose Hill community. He is a music teacher by profession, and during the lockdown organised lots of free music sessions for children, older people, and everyone in between, that were tremendously appreciated and made an important contribution to countering isolation and loneliness. He is also a big contributor to the Good Gym project that combines exercise with good deeds. Most recently, they removed 50 bags of rubbish, brackets, very grotty rubbish, from under a bridge next to a nature reserve. Trevor also organises Rose Hill Runners. He has previously run a marathon around the Oval at Rose Hill to raise awareness of climate change, and he does a lot in a selfless way for local people, for the community, and for charity. An unsung hero, even if he sings a lot. May I invite Trevor Williams to step forward. Citation for the High Sheriff's Award to Michaela Beams, Childry, for services to the community in Oxfordshire during COVID-19. Michaela Beams, 14 years old, has undergone some extensive and often painful chemotherapy during the pandemic. Having brain tumours, she has had to shield since the first lockdown and missed almost a year of school, even when children were able to return. But Michaela is special and has not been perturbed. She has been busy leading the trustees of Team Michaela, granting wishes to fellow children fighting cancer at the John Radcliffe Hospital and Leicester Royal Infirmary. And during the pandemic, at Michaela's behest, the charity granted more wishes than in any of its previous years. She also delivered Christmas presents, Easter eggs, brackets twice, and various ward gifts, including tablets and game consoles for inpatients, in conjunction with her own ward visits for chemotherapy. Not content with fundraising events being unable to take place, Michaela led from the front by swimming 1,000 lengths of her garden pool, and also by starting a summer Michaelaoke for people to brighten up social media and their communities with uplifting songs. For a young girl to spend her own turmoil and seclusion from society ensuring the betterment of other suffering children is testament to her truly altruistic character and the positive effect she has had on the wider community, even further than Oxfordshire. May I invite Michaela Beams to step forward. Citation for the High Sheriff's Award to Hasnathmere Didcot for services to the community in Didcot, Oxfordshire during COVID-19. Since the first lockdown, Hasnath has opened his kitchen to serve hot meals to anyone in need. In total, he has given away over 7,000 free hot meals to key workers, unemployed, young carers, homeless people, and anyone without food. He will never turn away anyone that is hungry. When Hasnath was approached in March to see if he would do a special day for Young Carers Action Day, he immediately said yes, and then went on to host free meals for all young carers every month. He has done this all off his own back and asks for nothing in return. There is no one more deserving of this award than Hasnath. May I invite Hasnath Mir to step forward. Citation for the High Sheriff's Award to the volunteers of the OX4 Free Food Crew Project, Cowley, for services to the community in Cowley, Oxfordshire, during COVID-19. Since the project's inception in April 2020, the team of 50-ish people who have volunteered for the project have been absolutely incredible. Every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Saturday, volunteers have travelled on foot or by bike to collect hot meals, to go out to people struggling for a number of reasons, including those caused by the pandemic. Even at the height of the pandemic, volunteers put themselves out there to make sure that people received the food that they needed safely and on time. Oftentimes, a single volunteer could be delivering up to 15 meals each, and sometimes had to travel several miles by bike or on foot to do so. They have always been incredibly reliable, turning up quite literally whatever the weather, and often delivering food in the pouring rain and the wind. With their help, 12,000 meals have been delivered in the local area. May I invite Ben Jenkins, Leslie Williams, Emada Edosamwan, Judy Thorpe from the volunteers of the OX4 Free Food Crew Project to step forward. Citation for the High Sheriff's Award to Helen Cowan, Iffley, for services to the community in Iffley, Oxfordshire, during COVID-19. Helen Cowan has given so much to others in this pandemic. She is a highly qualified nurse, trained to PhD level, and works in care homes. However, when the pandemic began in March 2020, she had to stop her work in the care home and shield, as her husband is in the vulnerable category. She cared for him at home and also began a new role in March 2020. This was a lower role, paid at less than a nurse's salary, but she gave her all to it, often working 12 hours a day from her spare room. Her role was to coordinate vaccine delivery to all of the housebound residents and care home residents in the East Oxford Lees area, 7 care homes, and approximately 250 housebound residents. Helen had to phone each housebound resident to explain that the vaccine would be given at their home and book them in for this. Many of the residents were frail and elderly and isolated. Helen would comfort them, and they would often phone her back with any queries or concerns about the vaccine. She would also talk with relatives of very sick housebound residents or agoraphobic residents, and would spend extra time on these calls. Helen would also speak with housebound residents with memory problems. Some would phone her to check if they had had the vaccine. Helen dealt with all of these residents in a kind and caring way. Helen has done so well at this role compared to some other counties in England that they have struggled to get housebound residents vaccinated so efficiently. She is a quiet hero of the COVID pandemic. May I invite Helen Cowan to step forward. Citation for the High Sheriff's Award to the Chelsea Volunteer Group, Chelsea, for services to the community in Chelsea, Oxfordshire, during COVID-19. The Chelsea Community Support Group are based in Chelsea, and the Chelsea Volunteers was formed in March 2020 by various groups in the village coming together in response to the COVID crisis. A request for volunteers was put out locally, resulting in 300 volunteers coming forward. In this time, the team has delivered 4,500 hot meals, sent out over 3,000 food boxes and treat bags, given over 100 lifts for medical appointments, delivered nearly 1,000 prescriptions, shopped regularly for those in need, and the team of befrienders have also continued to phone individuals daily. All the services Chelsea volunteers provide are provision for the elderly and most vulnerable in the village. The Chelsea volunteers are continuing and planning to operate post-COVID by being available to continue to support people in the village with their needs. The plans are to continue with existing services, as well as provide additional support wherever it is needed. The service is also currently looking into setting up a formal food bank as well. Their ethos is very much along the lines of nothing is too much trouble, which is ultimately why the local community believes that they thoroughly deserve the recognition that an award of this prestigious nature would provide. May I invite Jane Tyndall, Darren Evans, and Eve Evans from the Chelsea Volunteer Group to step forward. Citation for the High Sheriff's Award to the Archway Foundation, Oxford, for services to the community in Oxfordshire during COVID-19. The Archway Foundation celebrate 40 years next year of serving those hurt by loneliness in and around Oxford and Abingdon. Archway has made significant difference to the lives of many Oxfordshire citizens. In the past 12 months, strong foundations, effective practice and experience have helped staff and trustees adapt the service creatively to meet the demands of the COVID-19 pandemic. By mid-March 2020, Archway Friends, service users, were offered a weekly, fortnightly phone call, email, or text communication with a staff member or volunteer. Established volunteers received additional training to help them offer a listening ear and emotional support via the telephone. New people were recruited and trained, with 76 telephone support volunteers and the staff team supporting over 180 friends. Their altruism in committing to call Archway Friends, irrespective of their own personal situations, is commendable. For some friends, it is the only call they receive, while others appreciate opportunities for deeper conversations. During calls, it can become apparent that referrals to other agencies might bring additional, invaluable help, and this is actioned. May I invite Chris Booty, Nigel Fulford, and Sue Fulford from the Archway Foundation to step forward. Citation for the High Sheriff's Award to Natasha Barnes, Child District Council, for services to the community in Oxfordshire during COVID-19. Natasha is the Service Delivery Manager of the Child District Council Contact Centre. During the summer of 2020, she began working with Oxfordshire County Council and Public Health England to facilitate the local authority handling track and trace calls. In addition to pulling together a team of call handlers and supervisors, she built a spreadsheet from scratch which allowed Child District Council to receive and manage positive cases in the local area until an official one was available. Natasha attended numerous meetings and training sessions to ensure that she has the latest information available, and she worked into the early hours, over weekends, and during her annual leave to ensure that the system was ready for D-Day. She has continued in the same vein since to ensure its continued success. This has allowed local people with local knowledge to reach out to residents and offer help and support when they need it most, whilst also obtaining data for PHE to manage and control the spread of the virus. To date, over 2,150 residents have been supported in this way. In addition to this, she has worked tirelessly to coordinate the recent count for the local elections early May over many days and nights to ensure the process could take place efficiently and effectively during this difficult period. She rarely has an evening off, let alone a day, and when she did take a half day, she used it to direct cars at her local vaccination centre. All this whilst doing the day job. She has been amazing. And may I apologise if you call it Cherwell District Council, we all disagree about that. May I invite Natasha Barnes to step forward. Citation for the High Sheriff's Award to Hadi Nouri, Founder and Executive Director, Sercox, Syrian Community, Oxfordshire, for services to the community in Oxfordshire during COVID-19. Every week for the past year, hundreds of families have received food parcels distributed from the City College, Oxford on Hurst Street. The parcels are provided by Sercox, an organisation serving the approximately 1,000-strong Syrian community in Oxford and Oxfordshire. Hadi Nouri, the founder and executive director, emphasises that the non-profit charity which has also organised outings, exercise classes, and social events for young people during the pandemic, aims to do more than provide help to people in need. The Syrian community want to make a difference in this country, he says. Over the past year, Sercox has transformed itself from a service user to a service provider. This was a big and important step for us. We want to show how the refugee community can support the wider community. When the organisation began distributing food parcels in April 2020, they had about 60 families on their list. By November, they are providing weekly parcels to 350 families. Currently, there are about 250 to 300 families receiving assistance in Oxford and across Oxfordshire. The goal is to provide not only food, but a sense of belonging and connection. When they arrived, Nouri says of many refugee families, they were already isolated. Lockdown has made them extra isolated. We try to reach out. May I invite Hadi Nouri to step forward. Citation for the High Sheriff's Award to Mike Fisher and Systems Biology Laboratory UKCIC Abingdon for services to the community in Oxfordshire during COVID-19. Mike has been extraordinary in his support for GP surgeries in South East Oxfordshire during the pandemic. In the initial stages, he sourced and provided PPE, including medical-grade masks and oxygen converters, to help with patient assessment and treatment out of his own pocket. But most importantly, for almost a year, he has converted his research centre in Abingdon into a coronavirus testing centre and arranged for all staff in all the surgeries in South East Oxfordshire to be tested twice weekly. This included delivering swab testing packs, picking them up, processing them, letting us know the results, and providing advice when tests were positive. Mike has generously funded this out of his own pocket. This has made a significant difference to the safety of the medical staff and their patients. Mike Fisher, unfortunately, cannot join us this morning, but I'm pleased to invite Dr. Nick Parkinson, who is representing Mike Fisher and SBL UK, to step forward. Citation for the High Sheriff's Award to Dr. Hosnia Jafari Marbini, Oxford, for services to the community in Oxfordshire during COVID-19. Hosnia is a true community leader who has used her influence, professionalism, skills, agency and network to bring about positive changes in the lives of people within communities, be it the Oxford community, her work community at Oxford University hospitals, or migrant and minority communities. Her compassion is reflected in every aspect of her professional and voluntary work. She has been a strong advocate and champion of those whose voices are often unheard or lived experience not understood. In response to the anecdotal evidence and national surveys which indicated significant hesitancy in taking up the vaccine from the BME communities, Hosnia acted to avoid the double jeopardy of these communities already suffering from the disproportionate impact of COVID-19 in terms of serious illness and deaths, then facing the prospect of not being protected by the vaccine. Hosnia was instrumental in leading information campaigns and in bringing together a panel of reputable experts for focus group discussions at the OUH and in the wider Oxford community to address vaccine concerns. She encouraged all, including the BME communities, to protect themselves, their families, and their communities by taking the vaccine. And she empowered others to work collectively to help counter the campaign of misinformation by anti-vaccinators and conspiracy theorists. She did a video in the Farsi language to help bridge the language barrier to understanding safety and vaccine benefits. May I invite Dr. Hosnia Jafari Marbini to step forward. Citation for the High Sheriff's Award to Karen Foreman and Blueberry Good Neighbours Blueberry for services to the community in Blueberry, Oxfordshire, during COVID-19. Karen is one of the founder members of Blueberry Good Neighbours scheme. The scheme was inaugurated in March 2020 as a response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The founders mobilised volunteers from Blueberry to provide a helping hand to villagers who are isolated, vulnerable or ill due to the coronavirus. The ethos of the scheme is as follows. We are a group of volunteers who will try to help anyone who needs us. Karen advertised the group through door-to-door leafleting, advertising in the press and in the local post office where she is a postmistress. Within a short time, 276 volunteers signed up to the scheme. Over the past 15 months, the Blueberry Good Neighbours have helped residents self-isolating due to the COVID-19 by providing supplies, picking up shopping, providing a friendly phone call, carrying out other essential errands such as prescription collections, offering free hot meals delivery service, helping by telephone to set up Skype, WhatsApp, FaceTime, etc., and even dog walking. This group has been a lifeline to the local Blueberry community. May I invite Karen Foreman and Dawn Saunders from the Blueberry Good Neighbours to step forward. Citation for the High Sheriff's Award to Windrush Medical Practice Witney for services to the community in Witney, Oxfordshire during COVID-19. Windrush Medical Service have provided an outstanding service to their local community. Staff and volunteers have gone above and beyond in ensuring an effective COVID vaccination programme with one of the highest vaccination rates in Oxfordshire. This is best illustrated by the following recommendation of the commitment and professionalism of Dr. Stephen Smith, Senior Partner in the practice. He has spent many hours working to ensure that the vaccination clinics were set up. Over every bank holiday, Dr. Smith has been in the practice, taking the opportunity to revise the system and to ensure that patients were vaccinated safely. He has given up almost every weekend since December to be on call when the vaccination clinics were running. He has gone above and beyond for his patients, calling in some of his patients outside of the usual clinic hours when they felt too frightened to attend in the clinics. He has been out to nursing homes and spent the day visiting patients delivering vaccines. He has worked tirelessly to make sure that all of the clinicians were up to date with changing guidelines and protocols, and even found the energy to arrange a celebratory drink for all the volunteer vaccinators. May I invite Dr. Stephen Smith and Hattie Clay from the Windrush Medical Practice to step forward. Citation for the High Sheriff's Award to Wattlington Volunteer Drivers, Wattlington, for services to the community in Wattlington, Oxfordshire, during COVID-19. Wattlington Volunteer Drivers is a group of local people who have volunteered to be available to drive any local person who, through infirmity or inability to drive, cannot get to a hospital or GP appointment. The local public transport system often cannot offer a direct route to hospital or surgery. The group give freely of their time, with only the mileage costs in return, to be available to take patients to hospitals with a door-to-door service, wait in the car park while the patient has their appointment or outpatient treatment, and then return to their home. The group has been particularly invaluable in getting patients to vaccination centres for their COVID-19 vaccinations, and has done great work in this respect, a service much appreciated by the local community. The group suffered an early setback during the pandemic, as several of the volunteer drivers had to self-isolate, having been in contact with COVID through track and trace, putting increased pressure on the remaining drivers. The group, however, through its efforts, recruited more drivers and kept the service going through a very difficult time. May I invite Mike Staples, Jane Beard and Jane Slimak from the Wattlington volunteer drivers to step forward. Citation for the High Sheriff's Award to Tom Liggotwood, Newnham Courtney, for services to the community in Newnham Courtney, Oxfordshire, during COVID-19. At the start of the pandemic, knowing that Newnham Courtney has a high proportion of older people, some of whom have serious health conditions, Tom recognised the need for a support network. He set up the Newnham Courtney Food Exchange in the village hall. He used the village WhatsApp group, Community Spirit, to tell the village what he was going to do and asked for volunteers to help. The community responded, and Tom soon had a team of helpers. He extended the stock to cover everyday essentials and also created a sickness pack containing medicines, wet wipes, juice, etc., to be delivered in the event of someone contracting COVID. Tom printed the stock lists, and he and the team of volunteers hand-delivered them to every house in the village. They also laminated some and placed them at strategic points around the village. As time went on, the offer evolved. So not only did Newnham have a bespoke shop in the village shop and post office having sadly closed a number of years ago, where all goods were delivered to the door sanitised and safe, but also Tom and the volunteers began to post when they were going shopping, offering to get an item on a list specifically for a person. All shopping was sanitised and delivered to the door. No profit was made on any of the items, and receipts for goods were always given. Tom is an outstanding role model who embodies community service, truly an Oxfordshire hero. May I invite Tom Liggotwood to step forward. Citation for the High Sheriff's Award to Takamina Ajmal and Oxford Health NHS Foundation Trust, Oxford, for services to the community in Oxfordshire during COVID-19. Takamina Ajmal is the COVID Operations Director for Oxford Health NHS Foundation Trust and has led the hugely successful COVID vaccination programme. This success is demonstrated through the number of vaccinations. As at late August 2021, Oxford Health, as provider of mass vaccination and mobile centres, has exceeded 500,000 doses across all its sites in the Thames Valley, and 226,913 in Oxfordshire, including the mass vaccination centre and mobile units. This is approximately 20% of all vaccinations delivered. May I invite Takamina Ajmal and Joe Hart from Oxford Health NHS Foundation Trust to step forward.
I want to say a huge thank you to you all for all that you've done in the county. It makes Oxfordshire a beautiful place, a compassionate place, a caring place, a place of love and kindness at a very difficult time. So thank you for that. Thank you also, Patrick, for doing a marathon. So thank you for that. I did open the water bottle up for you just in case, but I think I need it and you don't, so well done. And also thank you to my daughters who, through my year as High Sheriff, have supported me. Two at the back, two are at school, they couldn't sort of join us. Thank you to them. Thank you also to my Under-Sheriff, who isn't here because he's been poorly, to Michael Payne. Without his support and without Patrick's support, I couldn't do what I do, so a big thank you to them. I also, a heartfelt thank you to the Oxfordshire County Council for giving us this building. It's much appreciated. I'm very grateful to them for giving us this. But I want to now invite Mrs. Marjorie Glasgow, Her Majesty is Lord Lieutenant for Oxfordshire. It's a real honour for us to have her here. It's my kind of first award ceremony, and Marjorie became Lord Lieutenant just 1st of September, so it's really lovely to have you, and over to you. Thank you very much for making the time. Yeah.
So I'd like to start by thanking Manawa, the High Sheriff, for putting this together and all that he's done for Oxfordshire. So a round of applause to you. It's an honor to have been asked to attend today's ceremony. It's a wonderful opportunity to celebrate the achievements of so many selfless individuals who have done so much for their communities. As Manawa said, I am the Lord Lieutenant for Oxfordshire, Her Majesty the Queen's representative for the county. I was appointed, in fact, October 1st, so I'm 35 days into a 15-year term. And just for those of you who aren't familiar with the lieutenancy, we are non-political and outside of government. Therefore, we are in a unique position to support and connect voluntary and charitable work across the county. Oxfordshire, with its nearly 700,000 residents, is fortunate to have 37 deputy lieutenants, of which Manawa is one. Thank you very much, Manawa. Just to say, I am impressed and humbled by the remarkable dedication and service shown by each of the recipients today. We have come through an extraordinary time over the last few years. We have learned how much we rely on one another and what a huge difference individuals can make with their own actions and as part of a larger group. Indeed, as the news of the last few days have been full of stories of climate change and COP26, we are reminded that our individual actions impact not only our communities, but our positive actions can ripple out and positively affect communities much further afield. We are incredibly fortunate here in Oxfordshire, in Britain, to have such capable individuals willing to tackle local challenges, excellent educational and scientific communities to help study the challenges, factual news sources like the BBC who can inform us and help us share local information in a trustworthy way. And we have generous donors, and I look to OCF as a leader in that community, to help us find funds to achieve our goals. For these things and your incredible efforts, we are profoundly grateful. On behalf of Her Majesty the Queen and our county, thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much indeed. Thank you to the judging panelists, but to you all for being with us this morning. When I started my year on the 8th of April, I just said, if I went around the county just saying thank you, and thank you very much, and thank you, I'm going to be happy with that. And I've been able to do that. And so I hope that through my next phase of awards, before my year completes in March next year, we'll celebrate those individuals, share their powerful stories of impact in the county, because there's a lot of good news in the county. You know, we live in an amazingly beautiful, talented, innovative county, we're kind of the center of the world. So I want to be able to celebrate that in my next phase, and I'll make that announcement tomorrow. So thank you, and have a lovely day.